My name is Lawrence. I'm American, originally from New York City, but I've been living in Singapore for 11 years.
I'm Christina and I'm from Canada.
Biggles. I'm from London in the UK.
Leon. I'm from the Netherlands.
Corinne. I'm from Chile, but I've been living in Australia for like 9 years.
I'm Dario. I'm from Italy.
Lucas. I come from London.
So what is the biggest challenge so far that you faced as a digital nomad here, especially in Ubud?
In Ubud, I think so there is a few things. Maybe the visa. Well, actually, I've learned now that you can apply for a visa for 2 months online and don't have to go and renew it, extend it at the basically at the local immigration. Right now I got the normal one, so I have to go and do that. So it's a trip from Ubud to go there, and you leave your passport and then you have to come back a few days later and get it back. So that process can be a little long, but I mean, I don't complain because I have a good passport and I'm aware of my privilege with my passport. But if you want to stay longer, of course, that's a little bit of friction. But there is solutions. Again, you can do this online, for example, and without going, and you can actually apply for 6 months as well and renew it every 2 months. So that's one thing. The other thing is a lot of smoke from the scooters. I don't know if it's a challenge, but it's something that long term could be a bit of a health problem maybe.
Discipline, I think. Yes, definitely discipline. You gotta have a certain amount of discipline to go to work at a certain time and do the amount of hours, because you're very free. There's no manager, there's no boss looking at you, checking if you came in on time. So yeah, just have the discipline to go to your workplace and do the amount of work. That was the biggest challenge for me. Other than that, it's great. It's a really nice, beautiful place to be able to work.
I think it really is establishing a routine. It's very difficult in the sense that there's just always something to do. There's always people to meet. There's always, being in Bali, like in every corner of the island, there's something to go see. So I think that it's just, it's like trying to maintain a healthy lifestyle, trying to work, trying to do everything while not getting FOMO and wanting to see everything. I think that's been the biggest challenge so far.
Biggest challenge is, as we were talking about this earlier, and I was saying it's not necessarily related to being a digital nomad and traveling. But if I were to kind of pick something specifically to do with traveling, it's probably finding the right places to work. And in particular, like a co-working space is great, but the one that I was using up in Canggu, if you didn't get there in time, then the best desk is going to be taken, and so that can be a bit of a problem. I was just chatting to Leon actually earlier, and we were talking about the new Vision Pro, the Apple headset, and kind of wondering, actually, maybe that's not a bad thing as a digital nomad, because you can stick it in your bag, and then wherever you are, you stick it on your head, and you've got like your whole office set up. It seems like a bit of a shame to not, be immersed in the space that you are actually in. But who knows? Yeah, I think finding a good space to work from is definitely a challenge.
Well, it was a whole bunch of research for me to do, what is a VPN? How can I port my phone from, Australia to have it as a VoIP, in terms of how can I keep my phone number? And I literally spent months researching all this last year. Okay, if I'm going to be remote, what does it mean in terms of having a systems, and the platforms that are going to help me setting it up for success? Because you don't want to be in a different country and then, oh no, I don't have phone reception, or, how can I have a phone without paying roaming, fees or rates and different things like that. So it's basically planning and prepping for the type of setup you want to have. And again, researching enough that, okay, I'm going to Indonesia, what's the best eSIM for me to have, that internet access or, data to have that internet phone set up. So the challenge for me was finding the best tools, but as long as you plan ahead, you're fine. And then again, the main challenge was I already know Ubud, so it's fine. It's more setting up, rent and seeing, longer term, where I want to be based for a while. Do I want to go and explore a bit more of Bali in between without being disrupted, with work? So that's from my own personal experience. But then in terms of working with teams in a different place, how do you keep communicating with the teams, that doesn't, impacts your work or your performance across the different things you're working. Yeah.
Just, I guess, learning how to do some things here. Maybe the biggest, calling it a challenge might even be a bit too much, but I lost power in my villa one time because I didn't realize how to, I guess here in Bali we pay our electricity prepaid, and you have to put in a code into the thing, and and I didn't know how to do that, so I literally just ran out of power, and I had to be explained how to do this after I already had no power, and so that was frustrating, and that was my moment where I was like, oh, should I be back in Singapore where things sometimes run a bit smoother, but that would be the main one, I would say.
I wouldn't say getting used to culture changes or anything like that, because although I am from London, it's an extremely different culture. I've been out here for a while, and I actually appreciate the culture more, especially in Thailand. I think the biggest challenge for me, probably boundaries. There are so many people doing so many different things and from so many different backgrounds. And if you're from somewhere like London, you have very close-knit groups and you almost stay friends with the people from 15. The group might shrink, but you know them till you're about 24, 25, 26. Whereas here, you constantly have this turnover of friends or acquaintances. And that can come down to bite you a little bit. And I feel like setting a boundary for me was really important of how I socialize and how I connect, because it was just getting to a point where there was just far too many people around me and I didn't really know any of them. So that was a big challenge for me, is how do I go about sticking to what I need to do and still being really social and connecting with people, because it's all about networking out here, right? Yeah. But networking with the right people, not just doing it for the sake of doing it. A really good friend of mine the other day, about 3 days ago, texted me and said, on Friday I have a villa housewarming, come, loads of people are coming. And I just said, I'd love to meet you for lunch, but I just don't think that's for me, because again, loads of conversations, loads of great energies and all that, but what do you take with it, and how many of those people are actually around or sticking around? So I don't know if it's like a challenge like you're probably looking for, but that was just the one thing that I find difficult being in. As a nomad traveling, you have this turnover of people around you constantly, and knowing who they are and what their intentions are and all that is difficult sometimes, a difficult one to deal with.
That's actually was about the next question, which is, do you find it so easy or difficult to connect with like-minded here?
I don't find it difficult to connect with like-minded people, especially if you're having these open conversations, and it's really easy to be very clear about the kind of person you are and the thought processes and the morals you have and the boundaries you have, and then you instantly know if somebody agrees with that or reflects that. It's more about how much connecting and socializing do you need to do in order to find those people. That's the tough bit for me, because I already limit my time of how out and about I am, and I think that's quite different for nomads as well. I think nomads usually are out and about quite a lot. Like, for example, I've never been to a waterfall in Bali. I was in Bali for 1.5 years, 3 years ago, and I've been here now about 4 months. In Thailand, I never went to Big Buddha. I saw one Big Buddha in 3 years, 2.5 years, and not even in the one in Phuket. So my thing is, I'm not out and about a lot, so I find it difficult to meet those people. But when I do talk to people, it tends to be someone that just hits the mark. Like even yourself, for example. Like I know that if we sat down and spoke, we would probably have a lot of things in common, and the things that we don't have in common we could learn from each other from. Whereas if you're constantly out and about, it's hard to filter. It's really hard to filter. For me, it's hard to filter. So I tend to just really prefer organic connections.
And was it easy to connect and meet like-minded people here?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Outpost has been a really great source of good people. I mean, I have great conversations almost every day, just with the coffee machine or just up here at one of those meetups. It's really like a community. So when I came here, I knew nobody, just my family, my sister and her kids and her husband. So around Outpost, you just go to meetups and you just automatically talk to people. Everybody's very open, like are there for the same reason.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel that Bali, and specifically like these places like Outpost and different co-working spaces, great places to meet other people, and everyone's kind of like either entrepreneurs or people that are all working remotely, and yeah, very easy. I haven't had any issue with that. So
I found it it's been pretty good. I found everyone in Bali really friendly. I did try actively to make friends in the first week or two of getting here, so joining the gym really helped. They do a whole bunch of meetups and events. I found a board game group nearby, which I love, and they were really great. So every Sunday, it'd be like 30 people get together and play board games. The co-working space do sort of lunches and suppers and things where you get a chance to meet people. I'm lucky in that I've got a couple of friends who either live in Bali already or have lived in Bali and were able to give me tips.
I think it was like on the same page. Like if you know that like, there's a co-working space, it's a really good kind of like starting point. So there's a whole bunch of people doing the same thing. Like, you know, they want to stay connected with other people. Like they have majority of friends back home, so they want like they're actually looking for like new friends to make or like people they can share the experience with. Like last time, I found the co-working space here in Ubud, and I was like, okay, cool, that's really good to start with. I met really nice people. Like I made some friends, and we still stay in touch. And one of the girls is still here, so we're gonna catch up in March. But it's just so you know, like those type of spaces really like open up the place for you to like create your new community, like where you're overseas. But again, like don't miss the connections back home. You know, I keep calling mom and dad back home in Chile every now and then. So I feel like, yes, you need to put a bit more effort, but there's a few places like in those cities that they kind of have that digital nomad culture that it's a bit more easy to find people that's on the same page. But at the same time, just connecting with local people. I feel like you can't. Yeah, you can. Super easy. Like everyone, at least here, everyone's super lovely. I'm learning Bahasa now.
Yes, it's the best place in the world for me to do that. There's a few others in Lisbon. There's also a great community, but this is the place I came for the first time when I first started this nomadic journey, and I always says to my friends and family that, you know, it's like I found my tribe here. I found the people that I really connect with the most, that you know, that has similar values, read similar books, and I really felt like, you know, I found my environment in a way, and the people I belong to, which was an incredible feeling, because back at home I felt like, oh, maybe there's something wrong with me. I'm disconnected. You know, my friends don't seem to care about the same things that I seem to care about, but I came here and I found these people, met these people, and it's super easy to meet them because there's co-working spaces. They mostly come to work for co-working spaces. There's also events, so lots of different avenues to meet people. Yeah, so it's just really easy, and also all the people that come to Bali are pretty open-minded and have this bit of serendipity. They're open to things to happen, you know. And so in cafes and restaurants, it's not uncommon to just chat with someone, just start a conversation with someone. This is something that back home would be a little harder and more weird. Yeah.
Yeah, super easy, and obviously I think joining Outpost was a big help for that. You know, I have a workspace in my villa. I could work by myself if I wanted to, but I knew when I came here that I wanted to connect with a community of other remote workers. And you know, the events at Outpost and just, you know, getting to work alongside other people has been fantastic. Everyone is super open and welcoming and warm, and so many people are working on such a interesting, diverse array of different businesses and professions. So it's been really interesting.
Great. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Mohammed.